This is a note from our editor, Elizabeth Hall. Thank you to everyone for your support and to the Longmeadow Community Television for the opportunity to transcend our news-giving format. This is truly an incredible milestone for network news. Our magazine has always strived for inclusivity and giving students a safe space to express their creativity, whether it be through art, writing, or journalism. Our hope is for the Network News television show to be another avenue for students and other people in the Longmeadow area to show their interests and raise their voices on topics they are passionate about. From every person past and present on the Network News team, we hope you enjoy our show. Hello and welcome to Longmeadow Studios. My name is Julia DeRidder. I am the Associate Editor of the Network News at Bay Path University, which is our premier digital newsroom. Today I am interviewing President Doran, Bay Path University's president. Welcome.
Thank you, Julia.
No problem. So we're just going to jump right in with the questions. So this is your second year as president. In your first year, you had the task of taking charge of the university just as the COVID-19 pandemic swept across the globe. How did that feel to be undertaking a new leadership position during such a crisis?
So it was a challenge at times, but it was a communal challenge. So the whole world was experiencing the pandemic. Now, every crisis, every pandemic is experienced a little bit differently. So the way California was experiencing it was different than England or Pakistan or Australia. For us, we had a very clear plan about how we were going to approach it, and that plan served us very well. So I would say it was a challenging, but also in some aspects, it revealed the true character of our community, which is one of strength and resilience and perseverance and community.
Very nice. Yes, we had the path forward. As you know, there are 5 women's colleges in Massachusetts. What is the staying power and importance of undergraduate institutions that do not accept cisgender men, and what makes Bay Path stand out from the other 4?
I love thinking about a women's education. I love thinking about empowerment and how we are positioning our undergraduate women. And I use that term in the broadest term because, as you know, we have a policy here where we accept women who are biologically women as well as men who identify as women. That's our policy. It's an inclusive policy. We're committed to that policy. But returning to your original question about what makes us stand out, of the other women's colleges, only one has our mission. And our mission is to prepare women for better careers, a richer life, a brighter future. And so our focus is always on how can we support our undergraduates so that they are prepared for the world that they are going to enter. You know, one of the things that we've learned through this pandemic is that we have to be flexible, that the way we live and work has changed over the last 2 years. I'm sure the way you've learned has changed over the past 2 years. So if we're going to always be at the forefront, helping women succeed in whatever their chosen career is, we also have to be flexible because that's the workforce. The work world is fluid in a way that it has not been in the past. So empowering women to understand what their career path should be, what they want it to be, and then facilitating that journey is our charge and our mission, and we fully embrace it.
This next question kind of addresses what you were mentioning about using the woman term in a broadest sense. So as Bay Path is celebrating its 125th anniversary in January, I believe, we do acknowledge that we are expanding our definition of gender identity on our campus. We do have non-binary people, we have genderqueer people, and we have transgender men. What are some of your thoughts on including the different genders in the language surrounding women's colleges?
I strongly believe that if we are to fulfill our mission and to provide a learning environment that makes our world a better place, we need to be viewed as an inclusive college. You know, it's interesting to me because women's colleges generally grew up in the United States from the fact that women were excluded from men's colleges in the past, right? So back in the 1800s, 1900s, early 2000s. And so the women's colleges emerged from that position of being excluded. So I think to myself, why would we then want to exclude others? If they support our mission, if biologically as a woman or identify as a woman, we want to be that inclusive place where everyone can thrive and grow. So it's really important to me that we maintain our values of respect for each person's identity. We want everyone to feel loved and respected on our campus. If they support our mission, if they're biologically a woman, if they identify as a woman, we're going to bring our resources to make them successful.
Yes, thank you. All right, so that is my last question. Thank you so much for joining us in the studio. We really appreciate it. So any last thoughts?
Well, Julia, it's a joy to be here. It's a joy to be at Bay Path. Every day I meet students who inspire me, who give me ideas about how to make Bay Path a more inclusive environment where everyone feels that they belong, where our students have opportunities to grow and learn and be powerful in their own skin.
Yes.
And to realize their dreams, because that's what we are here for, because we care about students, we care about your future, your success, your career, your life, and I'm just so glad to be here.
Thank you. So next we stay in studio to join Rebecca Wehner, who will be telling us more about network news. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. Here in the Student Newsroom, we cover a variety of topics relevant to our campus and the outer world. Student-led clubs and activities, seasonal celebrations belonging to every culture on campus, and tips to relieve stress and succeed in the classroom are all topics we cover in our issues. Our cover artists, photographers, editors, and creative writing features are just as important as our columnists, as we all work together to create each issue. Our in-person and virtual speakers that come to Bay Path cover a variety of personal experiences such as racial discrimination, mental health, misogyny in the workplace, and domestic abuse. We also find it necessary to cover national topics that are relevant to our daily lives regarding politics and social justice. Here's a clip from my conversation with Massachusetts Senator Eric P. Lesser. Welcome, Senator Lesser. It's great to have you with us today.
Thanks for having me.
You've been serving Western Massachusetts in the state Senate since 2014. How do you feel you have grown in the time you have served the U.S. government?
Wow, that's a great question. So I was first elected in 2014, and I was 28 when I first got elected. Now I'm 36. So I've learned a lot along the way. When I started, I was the youngest member of the Senate when I entered. And I've learned a lot. I mean, I think the most important thing I've learned is that change is possible. It's slow, and it's often 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or sometimes 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. But that you really can get a lot done if you stay focused. And really the most important thing is that you work as a team. Because in a legislature, in the Senate, you're one of 40. And then in the House of Representatives, there's 160. And you can't really get anything done unless you've got 21 of your colleagues in the Senate, 81 of your colleagues in the House, agreeing with you on something. And then, of course, you've got to work with the governor. You've got to work with partners all along the way. So you really learn the importance of teamwork. and the importance of really, staying focused on some top level goals.
Right. There's been a fair amount of news in the past couple of years, such
That's
as...
an understatement.
Oh, for sure. Such as the 2020 election,
Yep.
a rise in the Black Lives Matter movement, and of course the COVID-19 pandemic. So what do you think is the most pressing subject that America should be focusing on right now and going forward?
Well, I don't think that there is maybe a specific item. There are a set of issues that are very important and remain at the top of the agenda. I mean, absolutely racial equity issues. You saw that with the murder of George Floyd, and of course with the Black Lives Matter was a growing movement before
Right.
George Floyd, but certainly has even grown in importance since then. You also have the continued urgency that's just growing every minute around climate change, around economic disruptions. Of course, we still have COVID. So there's a whole host of urgent issues in front of us. But I think that the overarching theme of all of this is that we're in a time of really profound change.
Yeah.
And we're lucky or unlucky, depending on your perspective. I think we have to take the idea that we're lucky to be living in and coming of age in a time and working in a time of profound change that has created a lot of challenge. But if you get the policy right and if we stay focused, can also become an era of a lot of opportunity. And you would have to go pretty far back in American history, I would argue, maybe back even to the start of the Industrial Revolution, to find a time where more things are changing as rapidly today as they were, in a comparable point in history.
Wow, very well said. The Student Newsroom at Bay Path is a great outlet for both writers and readers alike to learn about American politics and social justice issues happening in the world today. So what do you think, or rather, why do you think it is important for college students to be aware of current events outside?
Yeah. Well, it's very important because I think you're not going to college just for yourself. Obviously you're paying a lot of tuition and you got to get out of your degree what you need to get out to become a good worker, to get good skills, to be a contributing member of society. But you're also learning citizenship, and you're learning how to be part of a broader community, beyond just yourself. And that was really one of the goals of university education, higher education, going back to, its start in medieval Europe. It was the idea of learning to become a part of a community, of a civic fabric beyond your immediate home, your immediate family, your immediate needs. And the issues are really very urgent. And quite frankly, just from a purely self-interested point of view, because you're young and because college students are young, you're going to be living with the consequences of all of these decisions for a lot longer.
Right.
The other thing I would say is, it's a privilege to get a college education. Still large portions of our country don't get college educations, can't get access, and that's something we need to work on and continue to expand. And so I do think that, with opportunity comes obligation. And so I do think that our college students in our country and here in Massachusetts and here locally in Longmeadow, should be thinking about how do they use this incredible opportunity that they've been given, which is a degree, which is the chance to become educated, how they can apply that to helping others. And politics is one of many different ways that you can expand beyond your kind of immediate horizons and work to make change on a broader scale. So I think it's really important. Unfortunately, politics has become kind of a dirty word, which I think is unfortunate and counterproductive, because we need people with good values, we need people with good vision, we need people with a good heart, getting involved in politics and working to make change in their communities.
And tying into that, my final question for you is, what advice would you give students who want to pursue a career in politics?
I would say to jump in and get involved, because politics is a team sport, right? It's, you're one person with an opinion unless you can work in a community to change minds, to build a team, to build coalitions, to have more people working with you on a common issue. So I would really encourage people to just dive in there. Get involved in your community first. I've always thought that was important. I got started in politics as a 16-year-old at Longmeadow High School because there was a round of education budget cuts, teacher layoffs here in town. We worked with a coalition of parents, teachers, and students to knock on every door in town to build a campaign to save those teachers' jobs. That was really the first time I had gotten involved, and it grew from that. So I would really encourage people to just dive in, get involved, and get involved locally. The other thing I would say, and I think it's particularly relevant, right now because of the era we're in with COVID and with Zoom and with remote and all of these other things, those are very important tools. Social media allows you to communicate at a scale that our parents or our grandparents could never have even imagined. And so it's a very important tool for organizing, for sharing views, for building political coalitions and political power. But it's not a replacement for in-person conversations, for sort of community-based engagement. So the most consistent advice I always give young people is get involved where you live. Get involved in your neighborhood, in your school, in your community, and start from there. That's where you're going to know the most people. That's where you're going to have the strongest network. That's where you're going to feel the most passion, because it's the place that is raising you or raised you, and then you're going to grow from there. I think it's a mistake when people start by saying, I'm going to jump right into working on national politics, or I'm going to put my opinions out on social media all day long, but I'm not going to actually get out there and knock on the doors, or get pass the clipboards around, or do the kind of work on the ground. So that would be my biggest piece of advice. Get involved, just jump in and do it, whatever you're passionate about. Do it locally, and do it with the community and the people right around you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me. Happy holidays.
You too.
Thank you for watching this inaugural program of Network News. Stay tuned for future programs. We look forward to making the connection between campus and community. Thank you so much.